Hi there, it's me, Filet Gill. I had made a video on how I run my bobber rigs. People were asking me, not that I'm something special, but people asked me, hey, I see you run bobber rigs, what do you do? Well, I attempted to make a video yesterday. In hindsight, it left a lot to be desired and was very uninformative as to the whole process. So decided to reshoot it today outside Gill Filet headquarters here. Beautiful day for July, I must say. All right, first and foremost, bobber. I prefer the Whisker Seekers. I'm a Whisker Seekers tackle guy, and also I'm a big fan of the, can you see them? The rubber bobber stops. Now, you could use your traditional string ones. I personally don't like them. I have a vendetta against them. And just in remaking the video today, I had a snafu at the river last night and almost lost a bobber. And these bobbers are not cheap. So I want to make sure and rig something up today. I had a little epiphany while I was at the river. If you don't know what epiphany is, look it up. Enrich your grammatical skills. I run a 3-ounce lighted LED. It's got a lighted tip. I had mentioned yesterday, kind of a pain in the butt with these batteries. They don't give you an actual size of what those batteries are. So me being the cheap guy, I tried to find some online, thinking, oh, how many pin batteries they said they were for bobbers. Well, there's different sizes, and the ones that I found online that were readily available, most of them were too small. So I had to order directly from Whisker Seeker, which, I mean, I love them, but I could get 10 of these for $5, whereas it's 2 for $5 on the Whisker Seeker site. But I will order them. So back to the rig. You put your bobber stop on, whether it be string or the rubber ones like I like. I like the rubber ones. Followed by your slip bobber. And it's called a slip bobber because it slips, it slides up and down the line. So you can adjust for varying depths. Now, like I said last night, had an epiphany. Don't want to lose a bobber, so I am going to, got my bobber on, then I'm going to run another smaller bead that I know won't get stuck in this end, because I think if I just run a regular rubber bobber stop, it might get stuck in there. So you got to have different size beads. Sounds like my buddy's truck creeping around in the neighborhood. So I put a bead on there, once again, that won't go in to your, gets lodged in your slip bobber. And then these little rubber deals, they're super easy. I always was like, how the hell do you get those on? Well, super easy. You run them through the loop, then you just take that little rubber dealie there, and you slide it right off onto your line, like so. You give it a pull, boom, that's off. And you've got another bobber stop at the end of my line. So now, even if I break off at my swivel, I'm not losing a $12 bobber by the time you figure in tax and all the Putin price hike and all that nonsense. So then, now I've already got, I may end up retying this just because it's got so much twist in the line. When you're running a river rig, you're gonna get some twist in your line. But if you also notice, we're like, Gil, what is that green thing you got on there? No silver. Once again, beads and Whisker Seeker Versa rattle. Hear that? Hear that? Oh, now if you were a fish, I don't know. That personally wouldn't call me in, but I'm not a fish, so. Now, here's the deal here. I've heard a lot of people say you should only run snell hooks, but I still, once again, Whisker Seeker tackle, I can change out my hooks a lot easier in the dark. This hook is all smudged up. I got to Still sharp though. Oh yeah. So them beads, so it doesn't, your bursa rattle doesn't bang on there, you know, and get your knots all jimmied up. But hey, I don't run the Snell. Some on different, depends if I was running a bottom rig, maybe I'd run a Snell. But I'm not running a Stan Snell rig. Just kidding, Stan. Stanley. I went to school with a Stanley and Nancy Snell. They did not invent Snell rigs as far as I know. Then I just run your standard, whatever this knot is. I like to run a Palomar on some, but it's kind of difficult with this, so I just run your standard, whatever it is, knot. Thing with braid. A freaking werewolf in the neighborhood, so don't mind that. Spittle, little spittle, nothing cinches down a knot like spittle. Good old spittle. Now, as I pointed out in my video yesterday, my three-way rigs are kind of ratty and stringy, but I'm not catching fish on the three-way, so I really don't give two rat's potatoes about how that looks while it's flinging around in the water. Now, if I was running bottom rigs, I would probably run these floats. Keep the bait up off out of the rocks and the stuff. Also, in your lighter bobbers, I suggest always having some extra batteries and extra LEDs on hand in the event that one of them goes out. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Feel free to use that. Now also, I used to just run 65-pound braided line. I don't run any mono leaders. People do if they want to, whatever floats your boat. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's just not something I do. Now, I was running mono on my third line holding my weight, but what I think I'm gonna switch to, because sometimes the way I wing it out in the river, sometimes I don't know, that mono just seems like it's gonna snap off. So I think what I'm gonna do is, I got some 6-pound Suffolks. I am going to run that for my sinker because it's a little thinner, and if I'm gonna break off, I want it to break off where the sinker's at. Not really the hook. Sinkers I can replace pretty readily. Also, I got a buddy that works at a tire place. He brings me the old lead weights that I use. Heck, I don't even melt them down. It's a freaking weight. Why do you need to melt it down and make a sinker? As long as it freaking sinks and stays in one place, which a freaking wheel weight's gonna. Man, Wolfie, give it a rest. Yeah, the dog's name is Wolfie. Freaking old dude moved in across the street with his daughter. That dog is causing havoc in the neighborhood, to put it mildly. And this is coming from a guy who had 7 pit bulls in his house for like 10 years that never caused nearly as much mayhem in the neighborhood for passersby and neighbors as Wolfie does. Let's just say Wolfie's not very people friendly like Mr. Pickles is. Who is Mr. Pickles, you might ask? Mr. Pickles is our dog. Mr. Pickles is a Labra healer. Also, what size weight should I run? That's the other thing. You gauge your weight on like where you're going to be fishing. Right now, I'm fishing like a little current break, little eddy area. So it's not a heavy current. So I think actually I am going to run just a 2-ounce. Should be plenty to hold her in place. Man, that dog is going to town. like I said, I rarely break off at the spot I'm fishing. Currently is full of busted up concrete sidewalk, but I don't know, for whatever reason I just haven't gotten snagged up. I lost stuff until last night. First rig I've lost down there. But you'll have that when catfishing. Alright, there's rig number one. Now, like I said, I like to have my sinker a little longer. You can see the distance, about another, what do you say there, maybe 18 inches. Why do you do that? Well, once again, that's just something I like personally. And when I'm hooking up for the night, you hook that through there. Reel in your slack, tighten down your drag. And instead of your sinker just bouncing around, I just take it, wrap it once or twice around there. Bingo, bango. Everything's nice and neat. Nothing fumbling around, getting in your fingers, whatnot. So yeah, that's how I run my bobber rig. For those of you who are asking, hope this was helpful, and see you next time.